In this week's video, I meet a bird that tells me exactly what it thinks of me. I also find a round tower and then a second round tower, neither on the tourist trail. Furthermore, I go off and find the MV Alta, the ghost ship which became a shipwreck. That's before crossing the River Lee, just for the crack. And then I was red carded by this nasty parking sign. Good morning guys, thanks for joining me. Roy on the road. This weekend I stayed in Ireland. I hope you like the opening shots. They're from a place called Castle Dermot. Now they're on the way to my final destination today, which is County Cork, to see a shipwreck, a ghost ship. But I thought, Castle Dermot, do you know what? It's got a round tower, it's got an abbey, and that's really all that Glendalought's got. And Glendalough is one of the best known tourist spots in the whole of the country. Anyone that goes to Dublin knows to get given a leaflet saying go visit Glendalough. It can get overrun with tourists, whereas Castle Dermot, well, nobody knows it. So if you've got your own car, I'd recommend you take a little dodge there instead. Get there on the N9, come off at the Carlow turn off, at the Kilcullen turn off. Like I say, you have the place to yourself. Now right now in a place called Youghal, highly recommended, really sweet. About 30 minutes away from the ghost ship. After you go visit that, I'm planning to go to Cobh, which of course is where the Titanic famously made its last stop before its appointment with the bottom of the ocean. Enjoy the video guys, really appreciate you joining me. So the Alta was left abandoned at sea midway across the Atlantic in 2018. It took a long time for it to find a bit of land to beach itself on, and lucky old Cork got it. The problem is no one's owning up to the ownership, so no one's prepared to pay to take it away. Cork's had to fit the bill for this fence here, and I think it's going to remain here until there's nothing left of it at all. Interesting story. It was born in 1976, reading from the good old Wikipedia, and had several names. Originally called the Tanger, then the Poma Merman, Polar Trader, and there's a funny thing. In 2000 was called the Adventis 2, so they could rename it in 2013, the Adventis 1. Thereafter had 2 years calling the Elias, and then at present that wreck down there is called the Alta. Yeah, if I find a bit of rope I will climb down. The problem is I might have left it in the car, and that means today no orienteering. So that is the MV Alta. It took a bit of getting to. There's a few signs around here saying do not enter and private property and prohibited. Seems like most people tend to ignore them. I don't see why the local council put up the fencing if they weren't prepared for lots of people to come here. It's a spectacle. The mad thing is, if you saw an entire ship in the docks you wouldn't look twice. So funny how we think, isn't it? But on a day like today, a few hours to spare, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Welcome to Cobh. I've got parked. Candidate for the most confusing parking sign ever. I've just found it. Okay. Pay display Monday, Tuesday only, excluding Shrove Tuesday. Maximum stay 3 hours. Underneath that, parking prohibited 24 hours Wednesday to Sunday, including Shrove Tuesday. So do I look at you can park right and left, or you can't park at all? That is the most confusing thing I've ever seen in my life. One of the finest named pubs in the entire country. Okay, can take a head up there. How is it? I always find myself at a church, one of the most unreligious people ever. Something about the architecture involved with a church, and they are the focal point of most places, let's be honest. But anyway, I've come to the church, but don't regret it, because look at the view. Unbelievable. Really, really nice view down there. Kind of like Cobh. And I've seen some serious ice cream along the way as well, so might be stopping for some traditional Cork ice cream. So I know I've mentioned before I'm a big fan of The Prisoner, and the houses behind me, they just kind of, I don't know, they remind me of the village. Can you see them? Yeah, it's wonderfully uniform and wonderfully tidy, and everyone's got a number. Yeah, I like those. So that there is Holbein Island. It's better known as a naval base for the Irish Navy, and over there is Spike Island, which is better known for being a prison. You can take a boat trip over there. Haven't got time today, but it's got very, very popular with tourists in recent times. Simply love the colour. Absolutely gorgeous. So the little known Cork Harbour tragedy, 1942, when 5 harbourmen were sucked into the propellers of a ship. They landed a pilot on board of one of them, but bad weather conditions, etc., meant they were mincemeat. not the first people to be lost at sea, but there's memorials here all over the place for people that have lost their life at sea, and particularly the Titanic. So next up it's the Titanic experience. I'm going to skip this. I've done the one in Belfast, I've done one in Las Vegas. More importantly, I was brought up in Southampton, which has a big connection with the Titanic. In fact, Millbrook Cemetery has a lot of my family buried in it. There's a lot of gravestones there with Titanic on it. I think it's been a bit romanticised and a bit too Hollywood done. There's been a lot of catastrophes at sea that have killed a lot more people. More importantly, my father was in the second-hand stroke antiques business, and we had lots of bits of crockery and whatever from the 1800s and before, and yet they'll pick up a dish from the bottom of the ocean and say this was aboard the Titanic in 1912, and suddenly it's behind a glass cabinet and it's amazing. So yeah, it's not for me, I'm afraid. I do have one interesting story. When I was a child in the 70s, we used to go to a place called the Echo Office. It was the local newspaper, and if you wanted to place an advert, you'd have to go to the Echo Office, write down what you wanted. And there'd be a guy that used to sit outside with a pile of Echo newspapers, shouting out, "Echo! Echo!" And the story went that he was one of the survivors from the Titanic. And every time we would go there, my father would buy an Echo newspaper from him, at the time 12 pence or something, purely because the guy was well known amongst everyone in Southampton City as being one of the survivors of the Titanic. So yeah, if his story was true, and I have no reason to think it wasn't, then I did actually meet a survivor from the Titanic. But like I say, it's a bit oversold, and it's too commercialised. There's been a lot of tragedy. The Wilhelm Gustloff, or Gustav Wilhelm, whatever way around, check that one out. That was a lot of people killed. But as the place goes, I really am liking this. This is fresh air, it's nice, and yeah, a couple of hours from Dublin, but a really nice day out for me. Jesus wept. I don't know what's the worst here. The fact that I can't get an ice cream, or the fact that I'm now thinking I'm going to set up an ice cream shop. Whoa, I mean, like, show me the money. Ching, 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 ching. Okay, going to take a walk over to this memorial. Yes, this one is to the actual Lusitania, which went down nearby. Another big loss of life. Another tragedy. So I'm going to take the Cork ferry harbour across to the other side of Cork, across the harbour, for no reason other than I think it might be a bit of fun. It's €9 one way, €10 return. Yeah, I'll probably get the return, but I've never done one of these, believe it or not, so this should be a bit of crack, as they say in local parts. And by the way, everyone knows the word crack, but in Cork, don't use the word langer. It ain't good. A bit of shelter for the foot passengers when the weather's not so good. Always worries me when I see water getting pumped out, because why is it doing that? Is the thing actually sinking? Yeah, I don't know. This can be fun. Looking forward to this. Ah, okay, down we go. Up we come. And we are FAB Troy, good to go. Well, that guy over there's pretty vexed. He's just rocked up to get on this. And he has, wait for it, missed the boat. I have a suspicion the guy that takes your money when you get on board also sails the ship. I might be wrong. This might be a one-man operation. That was that. How simple. Oh, cool. Done, dusted, complete, kaput, finito. Fed, watered, didn't get the ice cream, that was a bit disappointed. Didn't get fed in Cobh either, that was also disappointing. Come here to see the Irish fleet behind me, the naval fleet. I think they're more so for intercepting drug smugglers and whatever. Hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making it. The round towers, they are all over Ireland, you know. It's not just in Glendalough, there's loads and loads of them. Cobh, I'd give that a solid 7, 8, 9 out of 10. I think it'd probably be quite jammers in the middle of summertime when the cruise ships come in. The Titanic thing, like I say, doesn't necessarily float my boat, for want of a better expression. But anyway, listen, hope you enjoyed the video. I've really enjoyed making it. Until the next one, you be safe, take care, thanks for tuning in.